All right, we're broadcasting.
From the industrial wastelands of Michigan to the fruited plains of Iowa, this is the American Greed Factory.
Why will they do us cheer publicity?
You are the dead. Remain exactly where you are. Make no move until you are ordered.
We burn them to ashes and then burn the ashes. That's our official motto.
Now we can see you. Clasp your hands behind your heads. Stand out in the middle of the room. Stand back to back.
Who can explain the fascination of fire? What draws us to it, whether we're young or old?
Here comes a candle to light you to bed. Here comes a chopper to chop off your head.
And welcome to the American Greed Factory podcast. This is Nathan.
This is Conlon.
And tonight we have a whole bunch of fun stuff to talk about, so everyone hold on. It's going to be wild. It's going to be the best audio and visual treat you've had this year for free. The best audio and visual treat you're going to give about 3 minutes to and be like, what the hell's going on? And then tell all your friends the next day, I was watching these idiots at home last night. I don't know what they're trying to do. Don't worry, we don't know what we're trying to do either.
I was trying to masturbate to a Maple Leaf collection, and
yeah, and then this came up. What the hell's going on?
Damn you, Google Hangouts, or whatever Google's social network thing is.
Circles? Or is that the picture one?
No, circles just means like, hey, here's people you know, and here's who they know that you know. What the hell is it called? I want to say it's like Google One or something like that, or +1 or something like that.
Yeah, it was their answer to Facebook that never took off.
Yeah, everyone's like, we like you, Google, but fuck yourself.
Google, take over my life.
And it's not like Facebook is any better. Facebook has just gotten worse.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Like the other reason, like, and even Twitter has gotten worse, but being because like it's so confined that it's easy to adjust for the nastiness of Twitter, but Facebook is just fucking terrible.
Yeah, and they don't have any idea what to do because they've tried so many different things. They tried to make everyone gender fluid. They tried to make. I did like the thing where what was Google doing on YouTube where you had to put your name down if you put for comments. Yeah, like you couldn't. But the trolling is just everywhere. It's monumental.
Well, another thing about that I just don't like about Facebook is like it's just the way it manipulates people into thinking that like there's messages coming from people on their friends list, or even if the people on their friends list are actually the people they claim to be.
Oh, that's always fun. Well, when I got on Skype tonight when I was checking things, Kitty1234 sent me a friend request on Skype. I mean, yeah.
I thought they kicked out all the Skype hookers.
Maybe it was just some person named Kitty1234 who really likes the show, fan of the show. He's a beautiful, big-titted Swedish model who just likes the Greed Factory. Maybe that's what's going on. Yeah, that's likely.
Because we gave out our Skype handles.
Yes. Yeah, because we're so in connection with everyone. We have all this. You can reach us at, we never do that because we know either A, nobody gives a shit, or B, we probably don't want to talk to you anyway. We would get the masturbating Maple Leaf people.
Although Matt White did comment, so.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Got a comment on one video.
On Facebook?
Or on YouTube.
Or on YouTube? Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Matt. We appreciate that. He's actually been on a couple of shows. Need to get together more often. It's just everything's far, far away. And money's hard to come by for trips. Well, I mean, gas. What's gas up? Gas is back up again.
It's about $2.
Yeah, it's about $2.50 here. So, but of course, it's like -40 here right now too. So at any moment, understand that this whole broadcast could shut down because when it gets that cold, and of course, there's because it's Michigan. There's got to be a 30-mile-an-hour wind blowing from some direction. See the 40 to -40 cold or whatever it is, however they calculate that, that's doable. But it's just when that wind picks up, it's like no. Don't. It's inhumane.
Yeah, this is like the most procrastinating winter I think I've ever had.
I'm used to shit through March. Usually we get a bad one in March, and then that's about it.
Yeah, I'm used to like things lingering around, but like almost the entirety of January, it's like I didn't really need a coat, and some days could wear shorts.
Yeah.
Of course, in the Midwest, like shorts weather just means it's like, 44 to 55 degrees outside.
For some people, it means your skin won't freeze on contact with the air. It's like, as long as it's not that cold, I'm wearing shorts. These guys at work to do it all the time. Got their shorts on.
I mean, I could totally do. Like, my legs don't get cold. Like, the only thing that gets cold is like my feet, my hands, and like my ears and nose.
Yeah.
Everything else I could just let go. Just go outside with nothing but boots, gloves, and a hat.
You want to see something real weird? I'll get a heated vest like for motorcycles, and then just, I don't know, carry a battery with you, but somehow plug it in, and you'll never get cold. It's weird because if you keep your trunk really warm, because all the blood just flows around continuously, your hands and feet never get cold. Nothing.
Well, it's
constant warmed blood being pumped out.
Yeah, well, I can't remember. There's this one therapy that they created to help with people who had frostbite and stuff like that, or help control it. And it's like they put you in like a warm bath, and then they have these special gloves that rotate like various different degrees of water just to your hands.
Uh-huh.
And how it does that to your hands affects your entire body and recovery from like frostbite and stuff like that.
That's wild.
Yeah.
To figure out. They could just float me in a tank so I wouldn't be fat. Never figure that one out. Got the answer for everything but that. I mean, they do have things. They have organ mutilation, and they have they can blow your heart up with pills. It's like, I'm not hungry. Of course, my fucking resting heart rate is 199 beats a minute, but I'm really not hungry. Ugh.
You have the heart rate of an Iraqi war veteran.
Yeah. Are you actively under fire at this moment? Because you seem like it.
Yeah, I like that. I really like that moment in American Sniper where he's watching the TV and it's like a war movie going on, and the camera turns like the TV's not even on.
Oh yeah, that was an effective scene. It's like there must be guys that actually feel shit like that.
Yeah.
Like just watching some people being killed, and it's like, that's terrible. Why doesn't he turn that off? And you realize, oh shit, there's nothing on. That's all in his mind. That's a little too Oculus Rift. Oh. Yeah, we abruptly ended last week. Kind of had a technical issue. I don't even remember what it was.
The power went out.
Oh yeah, that whole power thing.
And then like one of the outlets got fried or something, and I thought my computer was fucked.
Oh yeah, you thought your new computer was dead. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I found out, because I started up the computer and it's like giving me these beeps. It's like, and it was like, I think it was like 6 incremental beeps. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then I look up all the error codes, and it's like, it's a video card error. I'm like, fuck, did the power going off just fry my video card? Because I have it plugged into a surge protector and all that shit.
Yeah.
And then I found, because
I immediately thought an EMP weapon went off.
And then I found out that it was like, well, I have 2 different outlets servicing all my shit on my desk.
Oh.
So I have a HDMI switcher that was powered by a different outlet. So so there was no video coming in from the computer to the coming out from the computer to the monitor. So when I turned the computer on, it gave me that error because the computer's like, hey, you're not sending the video anywhere.
Yeah.
But it totally made it seem like, hey, your computer's fucked.
Isn't that a nice little simulation to run you through? Those heart-stopping moments.
And because my old computer's still on my desk until I eventually throw it away. It was like, it's still working. Like, what the fuck's the problem?
Yeah, that's strange. So what was your old computer?
It's Dell XPS something.
Oh, okay. Doesn't seem like you got that long ago.
I got it 5 years ago.
Was it 5? Okay.
Yeah, I replace my computer about every 5 years.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're using PCs. I'm on like the 7 to 8 year. And I hand them off to mom and dad. Hey, you want this old Mac? You know, because to me it's like that's still a good computer, but then you realize it's not viable for anything. Because I don't have like put big demands on my computers. Just fire up and do things. I do like it though, because we've done podcasts across. I think I've the tail end of my old Silver Bullet, and then the one I gave mom and dad that the shipping company wrecked. And then this one, it's like the editing of podcasting has increased. It's like tenfold between the 3 computers. It's like, especially this one. This one just like crunches down the files in like 2 minutes. Remember, my old computer took like 10. But it still crashes if you go over an hour, which I don't get that. But
one thing we're lucky about is Audition like saved the file even though the computer was turned off. So it didn't save it all, but it saved most of it.
Yeah.
So that was nice.
That is very nice. Thank you, Adobe.
I have it hooked up to a battery backup, but I guess the computer draws too much power, so it wasn't able to actually keep the computer on. There's actually like a little picture on there. It shows like weights and measures, and it's like there's an imbalance of electricity going on in the thing.
Well, yeah, you're using that's a very powerful computer too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm surprised that one doesn't have like one of those dryer plugs. Socket you plug into the wall.
I mean, it's liquid cooled, so.
Yeah. Yeah, mine is what do I have on mine? I have that really huge power strip that like I don't know, I have a friend who's an actual electrician who came over and redid this room, so I can run a lot of things out of one outlet. And but when I lose the power, my computer shuts down slowly. Like it shuts down, but it's like a whoo. It doesn't like just clip, and that's because that thing has a power reserve in it. But it does tell the computer it's like you got to shut down pretty fast. So I've never had one fry yet. This thing's getting old though. Not the computer, but the power strip.
I've never had anything like that happen, but I've always been scared of that, like a lightning strike, and then it's like, here's $3,000 worth of equipment that's completely. Now it's a paperweight.
Yeah.
So I had that fear so much that like I used to have my laptop like on my bed and just fall asleep doing shit. And so like if I fell asleep and there was like lightning in the middle of the night, I would unconsciously just take apart the computer to make sure it wouldn't get fried. So I would like wake up and my computer would be dismantled. Like all the cords are taken out, the battery has been taken out.
Did I get hacked in my sleep? What's going on? But yeah, that's good.
You wanted me to talk about more for erotica, I think.
Yeah. When our conversation when we had the power outage, it was like Transformer erotica, or not Transformer. What was it? More for erotica. It's like, and where'd you hear about this again?
I heard about it on the Comedy Button podcast. One of the guy's friends writes this erotica for Amazon and makes like a couple $100 a month or a week or something, just writing like 10-page stories about inanimate objects, animals turning into human beings, having a sexual relationship with people, and then like I don't know, just fucking off or something.
That's fucking weird. I thought first I thought it was like robots, but now I'm on a site and it's like this is strange.
And it's like it's specifically avoiding bestiality, so it's not like somebody's having sex with an animal. No, it's just like they start as an animal, but then they, morph into the perfect person.
Yeah, the perfect muscle-bound person. Yeah, that's weird.
I have not explored this at all. I just heard the guy talk about it, and I was like, that's weird. I'll hijack that for my podcast.
Yes, this is weird, and when you go to the website, it's even weirder.
Any erotic fiction is weird.
I guess, but I just never even thought that, like, where does this become erotic?
I just like that it's sold on Amazon. And I don't think she makes money by selling it. It's like she's working for Amazon and she gets paid by impressions, which I'm thinking is like page clicks. Because I think they've got the data down so much that people who are looking at this fiction, they know exactly what they want to buy. So when the people who bought this suggest this pops up, they probably sell more shit. Just catering to the audience.
Well, you've heard that Amazon Japan, they have a huge problem with kiddie porn popping up on there through their not through Amazon's not doing that, but their third-party sellers.
Yeah.
I guess there's all kinds of code in Japan. Like, it's like, oh, you think you're buying this, and it's like, but only the people that know who are looking for it's. I mean, so much of that anime shit to me seems to verge on the edge of kiddie porn anyway. I'm not sure exactly, but yeah, that they because Amazon's not really Amazon of Japan. They don't. That's like deep cultural shit they don't know anything about, or but it was like a major, and because it's an American-based company, well, the Interpol and the people in Japan, they got all over Amazon in Seattle, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" And they're like, "This shit right here," and they've had to go in and completely shut down, relaunch the website, and purge it of all that crap like 4 times now, because it just keeps coming back with new like code words and weirdness and. That's fucked up.
And the other weird thing I saw on Amazon was a book. I can't remember what it's called. It's like Martha's Wonderful World of Measles or something like that. It's like one of those pro-measles people or whatever, or anti-vax.
Pro-measles? Oh,
not more anti-vax, but also pro-measles, I guess.
Oh my god, that is going to end horribly. For people, because somebody's kid's gonna die, and they're gonna find out who these people are, and they're just gonna go on a shotgun rampage. Like, they are going to fucking kill these anti-vaxxer people. Martha's Marvelous Measles. Martha's Marvel, or no, sorry, it's not Martha's. It's how do you say it? Mullane's Marvelous Measles. It's a book written by Stephanie Messenger, who has devoted her, that's her real name, who has devoted her life to educating people about vaccines and natural health choices. This book takes children on a journey to learn about vaccinations and health and childhood illnesses like measles and chickenpox. Why don't you just sing the fucking Pocket Full of Posies song and explain that to what that means to fucking kids? Because that's about the choice you're making. It's like, well, we're going to sing about dying because it might actually happen because of a fucking disease. All right. The Amazon battalion has started. If you enjoyed this book, check out these other fine titles from the same author. I'm going to thank Michael J. Gogulski, who wrote all this, because he's the one who wrote this review and apparently came up with all these, so I'm going to give credit. I'm not saying we did this in any way. Abby's Absolutely Abundant Abscesses. Addie's Adorable Edema. Adelia's Addled Alzheimer's. Andy's Amazing AIDS. Anne's Incandescent Anorexia. Annette's Astonishing Aneurysm. There's literally like hundreds of these. Boris's Big Blister. Chuck's Champion Chickenpox. I don't even know what some of these things are. Christian's Crazy Creutzfeldt-Jakob Syndrome.
Creutzfeldt-Jakob Syndrome. That's
what's that?
That is a protein disorder that eats your brain.
Oh, nice.
That's basically what mad cow disease is.
Okay.
If you have Creutzfeldt-Jakob's disease, when somebody has to perform an autopsy on you, they wear metal gauntlets.
Jesus Christ! Really?
Yeah, because it's not a living thing. It's not a virus. It's not a bacteria. It's a protein disorder. and you can be infected by it. It's fucked up.
It sounds like that needs to be just annihilated from existence.
Well, I think the way it was created is that like
It's cannibalism, right?
yeah. Well, that and there was I think it was like some tribe in the mountains somewhere. Like all the men got to eat the good parts of the goat, and then like all the women were left like the intestines and the brain, and then like some of the goats were fucked up and they were eating the brains, and it was, like over time it created this protein disorder and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
And that's where you got with mad cow disease is like basically they're feeding cows back to cows, and that's how you get it.
Kind of nature has a little anti-cannibalism technique built in because if you could just eat your offspring, that's all people would do. Oh, here's some other weird ones. I'm not going to read all these, but they are funny. Cole Herb's Heavenly Herpes. Danielle's Dainty Dahlberg Boar Newcomer Syndrome. Whatever the hell that is.
Does it have Munchausen by proxy?
I don't know. I'm going to have to go read the list. I think it's more like these are like diseases.
Okay.
Let's see, Munchausen. This guy, I don't know if he came up with all this alone. Actually has the proper name for pneumonia spelled out. Nudges pneumococcal something or other. Pneumonia. I don't see Munchausen by proxy.
No.
There was another one though I like. Oh, where was it? Oh yeah. Dan's Dandy Walker malformation with mental retardation, Marcellephy, myopia, and brachiotelephalangy. Oh, that's fucking great.
I once made a rhyme with the Munchausen by proxy.
What was it?
I can't remember. It was like a kind of a rap song where you're just rapping about how hot this girl is, and then you end it with "Damn, she is foxy. Too damn, she has Munchausen by proxy."
Oh.
Which, if you don't know, what Munchausen by proxy is like a woman who either intentionally makes her child ill or kills them in order to instill sympathy from other people.
Yeah, I think what was the movie The Sixth Sense? Like, was that like the one where he could see dead people? Was that The Sixth Sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, the last play in that, where the girl's like in the tent.
Which is not funny. It's just one of those things where, like, that's fucked up, and that's a weird name for a disease, so I'll put it. No one's ever going to use that in a rhyme, so I'm going to do it.
Munchausen syndrome by proxy, in which a caregiver fabricates, exaggerates, or induces health problems by those who are in their care. Because Munchausen syndrome, just by itself, is like lying.
Oh, okay.
But Munchausen by proxy means you're using a surrogate to channel the lie through. Because I have Munchausen syndrome, because all I do is lie. So I suffer from a disease. Don't laugh. Don't judge. I'm not just a liar.
I have a disease.
I have a disease. God damn it.
I am offended. And we should create a new law to make me feel better about myself.
Yes.
We need to reestablish the unconsciousness of America to recognize liars and their disease.
Their disease. Their problems. Those are my new campaigns for 2015. Fat acceptance and victims of Munchausen syndrome, which basically is an elaborate way of saying you're a fucking liar. Perfect. I don't have to change, you do. Because I'm a lying fat fuck. And it's your responsibility, society. You must carry the torch for me because I'm out of breath just walking down the stairs. Oh, perfect. Anyway, on to something more normal. Jeff Bridges has unleashed the swarm. Sleeping tapes. This was Squarespace, the web hosting company. Actually, our website's Squarespace.
We use Squarespace.
We are customers.
We use their WYSIWYG editor. Although I will not upgrade until we need it.
Yeah, our website is very informative and completely interactive. It's mainly just a place to go listen to the podcast, which is, kind of what this is all about.
Well, no, like when I first signed up for it, I got it was like 20% off the lifetime of the order.
Yeah.
And so they now have new fancy stuff that you can use.
But it's not part of that lifetime?
Yeah, it's not part of the package I have, so I would have to upgrade. So until it's necessary, I'm keeping the lifetime package.
Yes, please do, because like I said, you're paying for all this. So, keep it as cheap as possible. I bring things to the show like booze and expensive microphones, but you're actually paying for all this hosting and stuff, so keep it cheap. Anyway, Squarespace and Jeff Bridges have teamed up to make a series of it's called Dreaming with Jeff. And Jeff Bridges talks to you and tells you stories and plays music in the background, and you listen to this as you go to sleep. It's supposed to help you sleep. And I actually have this loaded. I've listened to this before and tried to sleep, because what I call sleep anymore is just a nightmare. So anything to help.
One of the things I do to relax is to hum. I thought I'd give you a little humming tune here. This is one that I find I fall into in my acting when I'm preparing for a scene or whatever. My makeup man, Thomas Nellen, gets a kick out of this. It goes something like this.
This is how you go off to Never Never Land. Jeff.
I just want to see Jeff Bridges and Matthew McConaughey make some self-help guide.
That'd be amazing. Well, I don't know about Matthew McConaughey. The thing is, when I first heard about this, I was like, what the fuck? And then I listened to it, and it's like, this is kind of innocent fun. It's sort of like his website.
Yeah.
The message. Have you ever been to the message boards at jeffbridges.com?
Yeah.
I think. Oh yeah, dude, turn this on to him. It's just innocence and hugs for everyone.
Yeah. It was a weird site. Yeah.
Jeff, we love you, and Jeff's like, I love you guys.
Yeah, it's basically Big Lebowski.
Yeah, he's Jeff just Bridges. A dude forever. Oh, speaking of which, here's some more things you hear from Jeff as you're sleeping.
Now, as a way to put you in a good mood before you go to bed, I'd like to give you some affirmations. So just sit back and close your eyes.
I've started thinking these aloud to myself every day.
You are a good person.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
You are worth all the good things that happened in your life. You are intelligent.
It's clearly indicated.
Jeff, I need panic, failure, and doubt to operate.
You belong and are accepted. You matter to many people.
It goes on for a while, but it's, like I said, it's just kind of weirdly innocent and fun. I don't think it has anything to do with the world we really live in, but it does seem kind of interesting.
It's just some place to visit on the internet. It's like, you want to enjoy yourself? Here's Jeff Bridges. Of course, I do think we need a counterpoint, and we do need David Lynch's nightmare generator.
Dream with me. As we head into the night.
What if cherry pie was covered in ants? Good night.
I'm trying to think of something David Lynch would say. The cherry pie covered with ants. He could play like subtle music and then just have his voice come on at the end and say something odd.
Imagine a dung beetle with a strip of plutonium rolling it up the hill forever until it dies. Good night.
Sleep is just death simulation. Eventually you go to sleep and never wake up. When you go to sleep, this is what the end of your life will be, the loss of consciousness. But he's kind of a Buddhist-y guy too, though, doesn't he? Or what's his thing? His thing's transcendental meditation.
Yeah.
I don't know what his religious proclivities are, because Jeff Bridges is kind of a Buddhist, I guess.
Yeah.
Some Buddhist. Someone said once that, like, I forget who was talking about him. It's like the dude from The Big Lebowski is like, that's like as perfect as an American Buddhist could be. Like that's as close as you can get for somebody from our culture who doesn't try to change his cultural outlook, but was still kind of a zenny guy. It would be like the dude from The Big Lebowski.
Yeah. The only thing he covets is that rug that really tied the room together.
Yeah. He doesn't really covet it for its own sake. It's just for the peace that it brought him. But yeah, I don't know if this is like, there's a lot of Buddhist debate, but I've heard serious Buddhists get on there and talk about like how Western European, specifically American culture it's almost like antimatter to that. It's because we represent everything the opposite of.
Well, yeah, Buddhism, if you get really down to it, it's about abandoning all material things, all like seeking kind of like self-importance and stuff like that. And what you're trying to do is to limit the pain in your life, because everything is pain. And eventually you die, and you're going to be reincarnated, and you're going to experience more pain. So the idea is to live as nicely as possible and not disrupt things, so that when you die, you go to nirvana and you never have to live again.
Yeah. So Buddhism teaches us that final death is the ultimate goal. No respawn. Yeah, somebody was saying like the American. Because I forget, it depends. His view on American culture was it was like the worst of Western Europe refined into like a salve that just was spread all over North America. I don't think this guy liked America too much, but he was saying like, yeah, Americans and Europeans, it's like their idea of broadening their horizons is, God told me to get on a boat and we're gonna go kill a bunch of people and claim their land, and then we can be happy, and then we'll have many children and be happy. And it's like, but he broke it down in a way. It was brilliant. He was like, that's wrong on so many levels. Not even animals do that, or at least they don't do it randomly for no purpose if their needs are met. But it's like, we're gonna get on a big metal ship and go somewhere we don't need to go and kill people we don't even know, and then we're gonna do it again and again and again. But yeah, so that was.
One day we're gonna get it right.
Yeah, and then we split the atom, and then it's that song, what's the Black Sabbath, the War Pig song. Satan laughing spreads his wings. It's like, yep, they've unlocked the key to the universe. I had some trippy physics guy on the Joe Rogan podcast talking about what the Large Hadron Collider is and what we're really doing with it, but he put it in like layman's terms really well. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, we're even with the Hadron, because he was talking about like what the Higgs boson is and why it's important that we can discover it and what it means about the state of matter and everything. And he was basically saying, it's like, yeah, we can recreate the universe in one of those to about a billionth of a second after the Big Bang. but we still have a long way to go until we get to the absolute what the Big Bang was before it banged, and we've got a long way to go. And it's like, yeah, 1/1000th of a second after it was still a high hurdle to climb to get to that 0 point. They were talking about, like, what was the universe like before the Big Bang, and it was like a sugar cube with the mass of Mount Kilimanjaro, or just insane shit like you couldn't even imagine. And
yeah, it's pretty unfathomable, because like when he's because I mean that's why like the whole like religion works out. It's like God created the universe, because that makes sense, because it's like, well, if there is no God, then what was everything before everything? It's like a mass so dense that it's unimaginable.
Yeah, how does that help me? How am I gonna see? How am I gonna see all my dead relatives if that's the case? It's like, well, that's some news for you. But no, that's it's kind of strange. I forget what else they were talking about. But it was something like that, because I think one of the arguments, or one of the things they were like, was, why is there so much visceral argument in our culture and all over the world, people killing each other over religion and stuff like that, but people don't often, like, there's not particle physicists that like violently disagree to the point that's like, we're going to blow this building up, or we're going to do that to make a political statement. And the guy was like, well, not yet. Give it 1,000 years, and it might become a religion that people would fight over. But he said the other thing is there's not a lot of room for deviation there, and if there is, it's one group of guys trying to prove another group of guys wrong, and someone's going to be wrong and someone's going to be right. Yeah. But it was like, one of the problems though is the time scales that, like physics, quantum physics and stuff, like he said, the time scales they operate in, billions and billions of years. It's like, according to the Bible, it's like, well, this all started 3,000 years ago, as far as the human experience goes, and we can kind of wrap our minds around that time scale. We can't wrap our minds around like before infinity. That that doesn't work for anyone. So that's
before the universe.
Uh-oh. Did we drop the call?
Started billions of years ago. I'm still here.
Okay, go ahead. So the universe started billions of years ago. And
before it was not there was still billions and billions of years of nothing, but it was still existing. What always fucks with me is the idea of when they talk about matter and antimatter.
Yeah.
Because that's like one of the theories that Hawking's came up with, is in order for the ever-expanding universe to work, is that like matter has to be like created, and like we all know from physics, matter can't just be created nor destroyed. But matter and antimatter come into existence, I don't know how, just somehow at the same time.
Yes.
And obliterate each other. And no longer exist. So at the point of at the event horizon of a black hole, one of either the antimatter or the matter could be diverted away from each other in the moment where they try to obliterate each other. When they come into existence, that could be dragged away, and that's the way matter could be created in this universe, giving more prowess to the ever-expanding universe theory.
Yeah. Yeah, that's because another thing that they were talking about. Yeah, they did talk about that. But another thing this guy said, because of course Joe Rogan likes to go for the real esoteric stuff, and he's like, "What about this simulation theory about how this might all be a computer simulation?" Which sounds wacky, and it's like, why do particle physicists and stuff agree with that? And this guy was like, well, because if you were going to set up a universe, and I forget what he called it, like a Monte Carlo simulation, which is like a Monte Carlo simulation, the way he explained it and the way I've heard that explained. It's how we got the hydrogen bomb. Was one of the. It's basically a simulation that tries to cover all the aspects, and it's like if you dumped a box of marbles onto a table, it's like, I'm going to make a computer simulation that's going to tell me exactly where all those marbles are going to go. It's something that it's these algorithms that have to take these huge things into account, these huge variables. And he said, yeah, if you were making a Monte Carlo simulation of a universe, it would be our universe. It would, the variances, the things that happen, the things that kind of make sense, and we can sort of understand how these things cancel each other out. And then the other things that make no sense at all, basically it shows that there's like a kind of a loop in the logic there, maybe, or something that couldn't account for. So that's why people think it's like, well, this is as good a chance of being a computer simulation as being reality, because it meets all the hallmarks of how good computer simulation if we were going to design a universe computer simulation. So
I thought it was like something about like how we perceive light or something, and like all the things we're seeing is just an illusion. So like it just might as well be a computer sim, something like that. That was broken down in a different way, but that.
Yeah, there's about 1,000 ways to anything like that. When you got guys with IQs like into the 190s, like thinking about stuff, it's gonna make Game of Thrones look easy by comparison to all the variables they're gonna throw into it. But yeah, that's some of the stuff that it's like.
And we have the whole dark matter problem. So.
Yeah, and that's a huge problem actually. It's dark
we don't know what the fuck it is. We know it's there.
It makes up 60% of the universe, but we don't understand it at all. We can see it, but we don't know.
There's apparently another universe that's entirely nothing but it.
Yes. And then that's when they were talking about too about multiverse, like what that really means. It's like, that sounds wacky. Why does that exist? It's like, oh, because it solves so many problems. It's one of those things. It's like it doesn't exist because scientists think it's cool. It's like this is one possible explanation because we've kind of run out of the simple ones.
Well, we wrote ourselves into a corner, so we need to create this alternate history so we can bring readers back to the fold.
Well, yeah, it's because and it's like this guy said too. It's like you got to understand all this like quantum superstring theory and all that stuff. All that stuff we use this stuff to make computers. People with big brains use it to do a lot of things. It's almost the technical magic we have in our society now. But those are all still theories. Like none of this shit's proven. We don't know.
Yeah.
We can't put our hands around it yet. Is it more likely than not? Yeah, but it's still way away from becoming the law of.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's all physics and math is. It's a way of us to understand the universe for things we cannot interact with.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like what the one guy say. It's like looking through a telescope at shit going on the moon, trying to figure out exactly what's going on. There might be some variables there we just don't understand. We can calculate its gravitational pull based on its weight and size and what we know about Earth. You can just chalkboard all that shit out, but there's still, there might be something going on there that you've never seen before.
Well, it's like when they say like, hey, there's a moon around, I think, Saturn that rains diamonds, and it's like, how do you know that? It's like, well, we did the calculations. We did a mass spectrometer. We had a telescope looking at it. It's like, oh, we just think this is what's happening due to our calculations. And we've never been there. We just, that's what we have to assume is happening.
Because, the only way you can really prove it is like, you can't.
just go there.
Yeah, well, you remember those sad Mariner probes they sent to Venus and the cameras recorded the probes melting? That's as far as we got. It's like, well, that was the best, $30 million for 5 seconds of footage. What do we learn about Venus? It's fucking evil.
There's something that was kind of interesting that I heard the other day. It was some satellite we sent out like a long time ago. Oh, not a satellite, but it's a probe. And like the batteries like went out years ago, but like through some malfunction, like the solar panels got like fused directly to the computer, and now they're talking to it again.
Oh, that's amazing. And in 100 years, it'll come back as V'ger to cleanse the Earth of the carbon units. Yeah, that's what's going on? What is it with the Voyager probes? Didn't one pass like the magnetic boundary of our solar system or something a while back?
Yeah, I thought it actually got out of our solar system. I'm not sure if it'd take probably longer than that, or I thought there's something like that where it's really far away.
That is cool, but it's like they've said that they'll never. Somebody was talking on a space show about when are we going to do more of those probes, and it's like, well, we're not. We can learn more with telescopes now than we ever could with those probes, because those probes are really hard to keep alive. They sent some amazing pictures back, but now we have telescopes where we can do something. I want to say, I want them to invent something. I don't know if they can because it's probably beyond the ability of our material science. I want to know if that is true, that there's molten or solid hydrogen, like a metallic hydrogen at the core of Jupiter. I want to see what that looks like. Because when somebody said that, I was like, what? It's like, oh yeah, hydrogen becomes like a silvery metal under extreme pressure, and like that's insane. I would like to see that.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's one of those things where it's like, I mean, that's why they make it the second sun in 2010, where it's like Saturn has enough hydrogen that it could have been like, well, it doesn't have enough hydrogen to make a sun, but that's how a sun's made, is it gathers all the hydrogen, and because the base elements in the universe are mostly hydrogen and helium, which that's what most of the gas around Saturn is. It's a lot of hydrogen and helium, and it's the gravitational pull so much that it never gets away. Whereas like with Earth, we've actually lost most of our hydrogen and helium.
Yeah.
That's why it has like you can see through the atmosphere.
Right.
Well, mostly, but yeah.
Yeah, there is something.
But yeah, planets that are closest to the sun, because of the way heat works, it makes things more reactive. Planets that are closer to the sun, they lose all their hydrogen and helium that surrounds the core of the planet. Because it makes them react faster and move away.
Huh.
So that's why you get to that certain point where you get around Saturn, that's like all the planets are cloudy, and like that planet isn't like, that's kind of its atmosphere, but it's surrounded by a lot of atmosphere, where like the actual core might be the size of Earth.
Right. Yeah, it's just a bunch of gas.
Yeah.
Because it's that's amazing. I think there's life here is amazing because of all those variables.
Yeah.
And then you realize like Earth is like just like solid molten nickel at its core. Speaking of which, there's a cool YouTube channel about, if you like hot nickel. It's called Red Hot Nickel Ball. Somebody heats a ball of nickel up with like a ball about the size of a ping pong ball, maybe smaller than that, more like a marble. Heats a ball of nickel up with like I forget what kind of torch it is, like a hydrogen oxygen torch or something, like a hydrazine torch.
Yeah.
And then drops it in various things like water, ballistic gelatin, Velveeta, but it's called Red Hot Nickel Ball Versus. And when he puts it in artificial sweeteners, such bizarre shit. like the Truvia, it actually boils, turns black, and then throws out stringers like, and it like makes spider webs like looking things in the air. It's like, yeah, eat the fuck out of that. Because when you drop it in sugar, it just turns it into carbon. It's like it just turns it black. It doesn't have some bizarre exothermic chemical reaction that creates like spider webs or something. But yeah, anyone wants to check it out on YouTube, it's the Red Hot Nickel Ball. It's pretty humorous.
The thing that amazed me about like chemistry is like, it's like sodium is like, sodium from salt. It's just sodium chloride. But if you take pure sodium and you put it in water, it'll explode.
Watch the magic happen.
And I'm like, what's salt doing to my body? It's like, well, it doesn't work that way, but okay.
However, if you put pure sodium into your bloodstream, it'll explode. Somebody, I think, let me see if I can totally fuck this up. Somebody made a sodium-powered submarine. I think it was one of the Scandinavian countries. Trying to think of.
It was like some almost perpetual motion machine. It was like, we're going to take the sodium out of the ocean water and power our reactor with it.
Well, I'm trying to. Well, they use liquid sodium-cooled nuclear reactors, but that's not what I was talking about. I thought there was a Swedish submarine that used anyway. No, not liquid metal cooled reactors. Maybe I was totally full of shit. A good chance of that.
Sometimes they cool reactors with weird shit.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they use liquid sodium cooled reactors because it won't corrode the pipes. I know that, but that's that weird Russian shit that.
Yeah, well, didn't like the alphas? Didn't they use like graphite, like just melted graphite to cool?
Oh, they use molten lead. Yeah,
oh, okay.
the alphas they could go faster than a Mark 48 torpedo, but they had to use a very fast neutron reactor to achieve that kind of instant on power, and they're also wildly dangerous.
Yeah.
The crew was, those were short tours.
It's like isn't that like one of those things like the crew got where it is now, abandoned ship.
Yeah. Well, the problem was if you have a liquid lead cooled reactor, and it's in a mobile platform, mind you, going around the sea. Well, when you dry dock it, you have to keep that lead in a molten state. So basically, once you fired up an alpha, it never shut down. Because they scared the shit out of us when they came out. That was one of the alphas. That was that tech that came from the oil embargo of the 70s when the Soviets were suddenly rich. It's like, we got all this money. What can we do? Feed people? No. We're gonna make liquid lead cooled reactors, titanium hulled submarines that can outrun the fastest American torpedoes. And because I forget how they rolled that out. They rolled it out in 80 or whatever. We were doing a big naval exercise. Of course, one of our belligerent naval exercises, like right at the UK Greenland Gap, which is where all the Soviet Navy came out, and then they just set this alpha. It dove so deep and went so fast, but it was loud as hell. I mean, It was like running a Corvette with open headers. It's like we can track that. We don't even need our weakest passive sonar can easily track this. But it's like it went under this test, and they were like, holy fuck, that submarine's moving faster than a torpedo. Solid titanium, they could tell from the returns they were getting. It's like they have some wonder technology we don't understand. It's like the Soviets have finally did it. They have the Wunderwaffen. And then, of course, we immediately send people over and get all kinds of pictures, and it's like, yeah, that's scary on many levels, but those are more danger to the crew than they are to us.
See this rainbow effect on the camera? Yeah, that's from the nuclear reactor. That's that's not in the pin.
That's the molten lead floating around. What else? There was something else about those too. They vibrated at such a high. I mean, it became something that, like, of course, the Reagan people immediately like, oh God, look what the fucking Democrats have done. The Russians have super subs, and anyone. All like our scientists and the people that design that shit are like, that's a very cool but terrible idea. Ultimately, this is why, because the only advantage a submarine has, because it's just a spear underwater under extreme pressure, and there's a nuclear reactor in it and a bunch of dudes, and 100 pounds of explosives can end all that. It's all over. And it's like, all they've done
$1 billion at the bottom of the sea.
Yeah. So the only advantage a submarine has is stealth and surprise.
Yeah.
But the Russians, like, their thinking is, we're just going to put hot rod motors in them, make them out of solid metals that transfer noise. Like, they have the great.
We're going to put 3 hulls on this fucker.
Yeah, it has the noise resonance of the Albert Hall or something. It's like, you're missing the point. Some of those submarines, though, the hulls were so tough. They weren't sure if one torpedo would sink them. They were like, we might have to hit these fucking things 3 or 4 times. But
in that Blind Man's Bluff book, they this one guy swear, they heard the sub open up and take in water. It's like, oh shit, we ran into these guys and we just sunk them. It's like, and then they were talking to some guys oh no, we're fine. It was triple hulled. The first hull's filled with water, but we were cool. That's why the fucking the Russian submarines were so goddamn huge, but the living space was abysmal because that's the hull. They had triple hull, so it just shrunk the living space down with each individual hull you had.
It's like a Schedule 40 pipe versus a Schedule 100 or the real thick pipes. It's like, oh, that pipe looks huge, and then it's got a pinky hole in it. Oh shit, what the hell's that? Yeah, that's a Russian submarine.
But they also talk in the book how they could Because that was like the advantage the Americans has of just like was just making our subs so silent, and then like increasing like our sonar capability just to listen in on subs to the point where like they could tell like, oh, this engine mount on this sub, like it like tilts to the left a little bit at some milliseconds. Like we know exactly what this sub is now, and like attach names to it, and they know where what, and then they could like.
Yeah, it's like Ivan 14 is the submarine where the left quarter engine mount has a loose. Fuck, that's scary.
And then they put that signature into the computer, and then now every other sub has that computer, and then just like compares it to the signature. It's like, yep, that's the sub we're following.
Yep, that's the one.
So now it's so crazy, or it hasn't been practiced, but like they cover it in those Joe Buff books where like it's like the submarines are so quiet that now they're like getting identified by the opposite of it. It's like there's a hole in the ocean where there's no sound.
Hole in ocean sonar. Well, that's even the Ohio classes, because the Russians, the one weapon they hated the most during the Cold War, and even today, was the Ohio class submarine. The first thing they hated, they couldn't believe the cost. They're like, "You spent how much?" Well, it's $1 billion a pop, and this is '80s money.
Yeah.
And the other thing was the warheads and stuff they had on them. It's like the Russian stuff. They had ballistic missile submarines, but it was always real sketchy whether they would work. But the Ohio's, they had no doubt, and they had because they said these could just that was the one weapon we could conceivably first strike takedown of the Soviet Union was the Ohio class, because these things would just silently hover out of the ocean, and then all of a sudden, 16 or I forget how many missiles are just with 3 warheads apiece were aloft, and the Tridents were designed to you couldn't hardly detect them on radar before they merged. Like
Yeah.
it was the Soviets. That was every time there was a START treaty or something, or Gorbachev would come together with Reagan. It was first thing, of course, was Star Wars. Like, you got to get rid of that. And the second thing was like, could you please just not have 20 goddamn Ohio submarines? Well, I don't know. I think we really need, because their answer to that was that giant, the one they made the movie out of, the Typhoon.
Okay.
Yeah, which those didn't. Again, those were like, that's really impressive until they get underwater and it's like bong, clank, boom.
Or was that K-19 Widowmaker?
No, the K-19 was their first. That was their attempt at a ballistic missile submarine.
Okay.
Because they desperately needed one. Because that's the one where they would launch them through the sail, actually the missiles, the liquid fueled missiles were actually in the perched right up where the crew lived. So it proved to be a bad idea for a lot of reasons. But they, that was the Widowmaker was in the 60s, I think, or 70s, I forget. But yeah. But that was more defective reactor designs and fail-safe problems than anything else. And of course, like a lot of the problems with the Soviet era, it's like designed by geniuses, built by drunks. It's like you got 10 PhDs in a gulag somewhere working on this, and 3 alcoholic ship workers. It's like, can we weld this straight? Another problem the Russians had too was their which was weird for them because they're usually pretty good at this, but their metallurgy on their propellers was always fucked up. Their screws.
Yeah.
So they would actually emit a tone that was unique to each one. Because ours, they tried to make them all sound the same. So you couldn't get like, well, this is this Los Angeles submarine or that one. But I like the weird stuff they talk about in the Joe Buff books too, about how the Seawolf can absorb sonar and then project a sound of a different sonar back out. Like it can project like a false image. Nobody knows if that's true. For $1 billion fucking for an attack submarine, though, it better do stuff like. I mean, there's got to be a reason they only built 3. So
was it that one where they had like they stole like some German like mini sub, and then they gave out the signature that it was a whale or something?
It could do a lot of things. That was one thing. And then there was it could make it sound like it would send back the same return of the submarine that was following it, so they would think it was some kind of weird echo. But it was something about, because only the Seawolf could do, or the Jimmy Carter was the one they were using, but only the Jimmy Carter could do that because the the other submarine had a ceramic hull and it couldn't project sound, or I don't know, something. We don't even know if any of that shit's true. It probably is, though. It's probably it's like the Tom Clancy stuff. It's like it's true enough, true-ish. That's like, well, we could be going this way, but I haven't read any good sub. I don't know what happened to Joe, but oh yeah, his wife got cancer.
Oh.
Yeah, he took a break. I don't know if he's coming back. I like his books. Can't stand his politics, but I like his books. I'm gonna stop recording and start recording real fast. So.
Oh, okay. Shall I do the same, or?
Yeah, just split the file.
All right. All right, I'm recording.
I'm recording. So no interruption there. Just.
I'm back.
Great sadness.
That'll be our break. Haven't heard him in a while.
Yeah.
And then of course our favorite.
Vibe on their holes. Their precious, precious holes.
Nobody knows what it means, but it sounds funny and. Oh manzies. Oh, anyway, I was going to ask you because we didn't. I don't know if we finished. We stopped talking about PAX South, but did you make any friends there, or
No.
talk to anyone, get to know anyone, or?
I mean, just kind of like, kind of a handshake and a hello to the giant bomb guys, but that's about it.
Did you get any pictures or anything?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't really take pictures.
Huh. Yeah.
I kind of feel like when I'm taking the picture, I'm divorced from the actual thing I'm taking a picture of.
Oh, okay. It's not like you're worried about your soul being stolen by them.
No.
Okay, well, good.
I mean, that's like another reason to go with friends. Like, let me get a picture of myself with this hot chick dressed as an elf or something.
Who wouldn't want to do that?
Look what I attracted. She's here exclusively to take pictures with fucking weird people.
With me? Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure if we covered that, or I didn't even think to ask, but I mean, it doesn't surprise me with, as sociable as we are that yeah, I came away with a lot of friends. I'm the same way. I don't even go to things like that. I'd be like a
I kind of thought
like a cat hanging off a ceiling after a while, like.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of I thought, like, if I go there, it's like, this is all same people like me. Like, well, just hang out, have fun. I'll get to know people. But I don't know, it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
Never felt natural.
Didn't seem right or necessary.
Yeah. So that's why you go with a group of friends, and then, like, you gather other groups of friends, and then you actually get to know people. Rather than, like, well, I have my agenda, you all have your agenda, and I'm weird, so bye.
It was nice associating with you. Good time sharing germs.
Yeah, no PAX Pox this time, so that was.
Oh, that's good.
There's usually some form of disease that accumulates at PAX and then gets spread about the United States.
Nerd funk.
Yeah. And then, like, for like 3 weeks, if you listen to video game podcasts, there's various forms of the illness being taken form on the podcast. Somebody's throat is getting itchy or whatever. Somebody just full on sounds like, like Predator or something.
Yeah, I always wonder what causes stuff like that.
Oh no, it's just a bunch of people going the same place from all different areas.
Yeah, it's never a good thing.
It just takes one person getting. I mean, that's the way it was at boot camp. It's like I've never had pink eye or all these other weird shit. You go to boot camp and everybody gets, like, 10 people get this weird shit that you've never even had before. Like, I think I've been around one person with pink eye, and suddenly I'm around fucking 12 people with pink eye.
That's horrible. Yeah, don't you get it like didn't they say you'd be going to the infirmary at least once?
Yeah.
for a shot or for something because you're going to get some kind of funk from somebody.
And like MRSA popped up, like that was like,
ooh, Jesus.
Yeah, it's like that's a fucking skin disease. What the fuck
flesh-eating
did that happen?
virus.
Yeah.
Who brought the flesh-eating virus? God damn it. Yeah, well, that's good. Like I said, so you're going to go with friends next time?
Sure, if I go. I don't know.
Yeah, well, see, I couldn't because I don't have friends, so...
If I had the money, I'd just be like, hey, everybody take a week off vacation. We're going to fucking PAX.
Here we go, guys.
All expenses paid.
Weekend at Bernie's theme song.
Go play multiplayer Oculus Rift Elite Dangerous. See who's the best real physics pilot in space.
I'd crack the canopy. I'm dangerous under 7 miles an hour, though. Let's see. We'll have a news segment here, just for a little bit. Something interesting came up.
Jon Stewart's quitting now.
Well, yeah, we're gonna talk about that too. This is like within the last 5 hours or whatever. Terrorist attack in Denmark. Some people were shot at a coffee shop. One of the guys was a guy who was being threatened because he wrote Muhammad cartoons, and then there was another shooting at a synagogue, but nobody knows if that was related to this or just the usual background anti-Semitism that's all over Europe. But it looks like, there were 2 people killed, so it didn't quite have the Charlie Hebdo, I don't know, Slaughter-Rama effect. I don't know what that was, but they had that, and then Jon Stewart is leaving the Daily Show later this year at an unspecified time. Wait, fucking.
I think his contract's up in September, but they'll like have some sort of extension if they haven't. I think he's going to give them leeway to properly be replaced by somebody. So.
Oh, he's not going to just like burn him down, like fuck you, I'm out.
And he hasn't said what he's gonna do next, but everyone presumes that he's just gonna like go into directing.
Makes more of his weird movies. Torture.
Yeah, I remember there was one headline that was like talking about that movie. It's like Jon Stewart left the Daily Show for a year to make a movie that got like 65% on Rotten Tomatoes. What the fuck?
Yeah, there was a lot of people that said about that movie, it's like, I really like Jon Stewart, I really want to like his movie. I'm sorry, I can't. But, John, or Comedy Central, they gotta be kicking themselves in the balls. Like, next, what's gonna happen next? Like, the guys from South Park are gonna pack it in, like, we're done.
I mean, like, it's so close together, that's the only thing, but, like, that like everybody that came out of that whole scene, like that's probably like some of the most. That was a better collection of talent than SNL has had in the last like 15 years.
Oh yeah, it's insane who came out of that. Like Colbert, the British guy. Can't think of his name.
John Oliver.
John Oliver. And I always think Oliver Twist or something. Yeah, John Oliver. There was a bunch of people though. And
then, crap, I can't remember his name. It's the officer in the Marine Corps.
Oh, Riggles? Or
yeah, Rob Riggle. Yeah.
He's odd. His brand of humor is really weird. I like him in, was it Step Brothers?
Yeah.
Show him what it's like. How are you going to take that dick? It's just like crazy shit. What the fuck is that? But yeah, that's, so yep, after almost 16 years of The Daily Show. Packing it in. I think they should try like a more conservative centrist guy that's that funny. It'll never happen, but I don't mean a conservative. Like, I don't want Rush Limbaugh on The Daily Show.
John Offerman does... wait, what the hell's his name? Offerman. Nick Offerman in The Daily Show.
No, because he's actually a conservative, if you really read between the lines. I mean, he's one of those woodshop teacher conservatives. Like,
yeah,
that's not exactly what I'd want. But.
Well, I think he's like, he's about like making your own stuff and like kind of being responsible for yourself, which
Yeah, fuck that.
that it can expand out into basically like Darwinism stuff pretty quickly, which like makes him look like a psycho. But
all these people in wheelchairs, fuck them. Where it go?
I think he's like a bit more reserved than that. I don't think he goes that psycho that early. He's just kind of like, well, these are pretty easily adaptable beliefs.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. They could do something. Not that Jon Stewart was a super liberal by any means, but it seems to be like this weird divide. It's like the right wingers get radio, the left wingers get TV. It's like they don't cross that bridge. And I never did get that. Well, I mean, I think a lot of that too has to do with audience, because most people listen to talk radio are pretty old.
Yeah.
And then most of the people that watch flashy TV are younger.
See, the thing, the biggest problem with replacing John is that like you could get a lot of hosts to go in there and do like a really good job. The problem is like he kind of cultivated like the you know, kind of like the what do I want to say, the tempo and the writing, and like he kind of knew like how to bring everything together and create a voice for the show.
Yeah.
Whereas if you just hire a mouthpiece to come in there, it's like it's probably not gonna work. They're not gonna develop the kind of talent that they got the last time around. So,
right.
So
one of the biggest strengths of that show is always the writing.
Yeah, which means you basically, if you want to replace Jon Stewart, you either have to get like a writer to come in there and do that, or you have to get like somebody whoever's like currently writing for the Daily Show has to be like super on point to make sure that whoever they get to host it is like never at fault for anything or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I haven't watched the Daily Show for like 5 years, so around the same time I stopped watching Real Time with Bill Maher.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to tap out on Real Time with Bill Maher a while back. I couldn't take it anymore.
It just became circular, and then like whatever stuff I was filtering out was like, yes, he said that before. Like after your brain just automatically filters out all the things they've already said before, it's just nothing but crazy nonsense.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you don't mean that. You're just saying that because you're on a show that lasts an hour. You're wasting my fucking time.
Well, you know, the show that replaced Colbert is actually, it's kind of funny. You got to warm up to it.
Is there a show that replaced Colbert?
Yeah, the senior black correspondent does it. The guy that called the.
Oh, is that up and running already?
Yeah.
Oh shit, I didn't know. Damn.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's kind of funny. I mean, of course their first week they're talking about, you know, they talk about a lot of racial stuff, but the way that guy talks about it's really funny. It was just pretty good. It would be cool if they get someone like Patton Oswalt to do it.
Yeah, that'd be amazing, but I just don't think.
I don't think he has that kind of verve.
He seems to stretch his talents like around too much to have to be absorbed by one thing that much.
Yeah, because I think he likes to bounce, and I don't really know how political he is. I mean, I know kind of the basic spectrum, but because who do they have on the Daily Show? Well, it's because John Oliver's on HBO.
Yeah,
he's basically doing the Daily Show just in one long half hour.
Yeah, like I said, I haven't seen it for 5 years, so I don't even know who's like even like doing host segments, or not host segments, but like, you know, the field reporter segments or anymore.
We've got Asif Manvi, the girl with the dreadlocks, the really cool hair. I can't think of her. I think her last name's Williams.
I don't think I saw her before.
Yeah, she took over when like Riggle and a lot of those people left.
I could see. He's been on there before. Who's like the kind of like the droll kind of guy, who's like in the Apple commercials?
Oh, the guy who looks like a Wall Street billionaire banker.
Yeah.
What's his name? Yeah, I can't think of his name though.
Just type in the internet PC guy.
Yeah.
And we get John Hodgman.
Yep, that's him. Yep. Yep. Someone said Louis C.K.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. But once again, like I think he's stretched too far for that.
Yeah.
He's already a director.
Yeah, he's got a lot of shit in the...
Why would he give up his show? He seems to be happy with what he's doing, and people don't mind to pay him to do it. So he has like the best deal in television. I do what I want, and they pay me.
And someone was talking about who was the other one? Ricky Gervais. But we've already got one British guy doing political commentary on America, so...
Yeah.
Which is something that he talks about. It's like, you could never get away with this in the UK. Like what?
They should...
Some American coming over here and talking about our politics. I forget who was it. It was I think it was Mark Maron was like, well, I thought they'd just be flattered that we even knew anything about your politics or something.
That would be a good one right there. Hire Mark Maron.
Yeah, he's like really far to the left though, isn't he?
Oh yeah, but he's just done that stuff before.
That's true. Yeah, I did do Air America.
Yeah.
What about the Canadians? They're always on there. Jason Jones and the other lady.
Ah.
Get some more foreigners doing it.
Or just loop it back around. It's like Craig Kilborn coming back.
Craig Kilborn's coming back. That would be amazing. Another guy is who is actually I haven't seen his one man thing on the Constitution yet. Is that Colin Quinn?
Yeah.
He's a funny guy. You ever seen his Twitter? His weird Twitter account?
I don't know. I think people think of him as the worst Weekend Update guy that they wouldn't want to see him do the daily.
Oh yeah, that could be. I guess.
Yeah, get Norm Macdonald.
That'd be fucking amazing. Norm Macdonald.
I don't think it's.
I like his the stories about his lunatic gambling.
Well, I think he's he's kind of drawn back on that quite a bit.
Yeah,
he's like not even drinking anymore, so I think he's like in control mostly of a lot of his aspects that are of his life that seem to have addictive behaviors. He did a comedy show in San Antonio when I was there. I was almost thinking about going, but I couldn't figure out the logistics to actually get there. So.
Yeah. That is pretty weird. They have some other names on here, but I can't think of who they are.
I think they're just gonna select somebody that you don't necessarily. I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna select somebody that's like big that you'll know. It'll just kind of be like, oh yeah, that guy. Like I saw him in 5 Things.
Yeah. Well, who was Jon Stewart before he was the Daily Show?
What's that? Well, I mean, he hosted stuff on MTV, and then he was a well-known comedian, but like, he didn't have any airtime.
Right.
I mean, comedy-wise, his comedy wasn't on air, but yeah, he had a lot of people knew him from hosting gigs on he had a show. He had like the Jon Stewart show on MTV for like half a season.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And like he just watched, and like I think it was like the thing where they thought it was an obvious choice is like, oh, this guy's a great host, just nobody fucking watched this thing. So.
Yeah, I remember they had that, and then he was in the Death to Smoochie. That was his movie.
And he was a teacher in the Faculty.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he was an alien.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Gets his I can't remember if he got like his head chopped off or just his hand chopped off, and then when they all get brought back, I think he's like missing his hand or something, or he just got killed. I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember that movie. I know he was in it.
Oh yeah, and he was like the the MacGyver weed guy in Half Baked.
Never saw that one.
I never saw Half Baked. That's
No.
crazy. Yeah, he's like, or no, I think he's just the on weed guy. He's like, did you ever see did you ever see Sports Illustrated? It's like, yeah. It's like, did you ever see Sports Illustrated on weed? Like, that's his character.
Oh, Jesus.
It's pretty memorable for the time. It's like 6 seconds of work.
He was in the Jay and Bob Strike Back, too, wasn't he?
Yeah, wasn't he just like a news host?
Yeah, it was something quick. I know that.
I think it was like, I think Kevin Smith commented on, like, yeah, we hired Jon Stewart to do the most obvious thing for him to do.
That's crazy. Yep, so we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting, or sad, or both.
The decline of late night talk show politics on Comedy Central.
It's the decline of Comedy Central.
Unless they just slide Chris Hardwick over. Like, here, let's take up all your time. Like, get rid of that podcast and all that Talking Dead stuff.
Well, he'd probably do that, too. He's just Chris Hardwick's just like a dynamo of energy.
Yeah.
How old is he, though?
Because he's like 40.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah, he doesn't look it because he's like in shape and stuff, but yeah.
You always look old when you're in shape.
Well, no, it's like he's looked like he's like 13 years old for like the past 20 years.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, he's sober, so I don't think it'd work. Fall off the wagon.
Yeah, I'll probably be some. Get David Tell. There you go.
Who's the other guy? Yeah, we should come up with like, weird options.
Because David Tell would like you want somebody who's like more conservative bent on things. Like that would be David Tell because he definitely does have a more conservative bent on things.
Nick DiPaolo.
Yeah,
he could do that.
that would last for a year, but that'd be like
an amazing year.
That'd be like when Dennis Miller was on Monday Night Football. It's like I kind of like this, but everybody else hates it.
I don't know why, but I like it. You have like Nick DiPaolo, like the host could be like a Jim Norton. Instead of talking about news, it'd just be hookers shitting on him. but it'd kind of relate back to the news. Well, what about Sarah Silverman? What's she doing? She likes to piss everyone off.
Yeah,
I haven't heard about her in a while.
That'd be interesting. It's like when I go to place these two white guys with a black dude and a Jewish chick.
Yeah.
It's like the world is changing. Black president, black TV host.
Or the who's the guy? The Chappelle, Dave Chappelle.
Oh, he would never deal with Comedy Central ever fucking again. Like they're about ready to pony up $50 million. He's like, "Fuck you guys. I don't care what money. I don't care what you write on that check. Fuck you guys."
Well, the magic about the Dave Chappelle Daily Show is you'd never know when it was going to It's like when it's gonna fucking run off the rails.
You better fucking watch because every show could be its last.
Yeah, that's always that's the conceit. It's like don't miss this episode. Might be it.
What's Dave Chappelle's contract? He's for hire on daily.
We renew his contract daily, just like we renew our faith daily. That this will.
He's like a migrant worker of the late night talk show.
You get the guy from Marilyn Manson to do it. I mean, just weird people. Marilyn Manson came out with a new album.
Yeah,
it's pretty good. Enjoyed it. It's kind of like Back to the Well, but it's good.
Yeah.
Everything you like about Marilyn Manson is there.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to Craig Kilborn?
He had the Late Show, and then he just he got tired. He just does things and then he leaves. Like he doesn't like overstay his welcome. He just like leaves things. Like he left the Daily Show to do the Late Show, which wasn't necessarily that much of an up. Well, I guess it was an upgrade. It was like it was, what do you call that? network TV money. So, but it was still but it was like even later because it was like 12. This is after Letterman. So he did that stuff and he got tired of it, and then the one dude replaced him, Scottish guy from Drew Carey show.
Oh, I can't think of his name.
And then like he was promised like David Letterman's talk show, and then like, yeah, we're gonna hire Colbert, and he's like, yeah, that's probably a good idea. I'm gonna leave now and do celebrity hosting. It's bullshit.
Yeah, well, it's you or Colbert. Who do you think's gonna win? Yeah, I think I give up.
I don't even know who's hosting the Late Show right now. I think it's just some like former SNL person or something.
James Corden.
Nope, no idea.
No, don't know.
And he's like fighting.
He's recent.
He's like fighting against Jimmy Kimmel, isn't he?
I believe so. Yeah.
That's hard. Because like Jimmy Kimmel is like,
a lunatic.
He does like a really good job. Like you just never expect it out, but like they do a really good job over there. You watch that show and it's like it's just really funny and.
Well, their meme generation is pretty astounding.
Yeah.
It's like they've done quite a few things. It's like, oh, who's this guy? What's like the yoga chick or the chick standing on her head catching things on fire?
Yeah.
I forget what she was doing, twerking. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's like, and then that brings you over to his like, oh, this is what Jimmy Kimmel's doing.
And that weird thing with Matt Damon.
Yeah. Matt Damon's always doing it. Matt Damon did weird stuff with Colbert. Remember the Matt Damon booth? Where he'd just be in this booth, like, dancing, and it'd just be Matt Damon, there'd be no explanation, and they go right on to the next thing. It's like, what the fuck just happened?
I don't remember that.
Yeah, the Matt Damon booth. Well, because now the thing with him and Matt Damon is they're always angry at each other, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like, the thing, the joke started out is that, like, he would have him on as a guest, but they'd get to the end of the night, and he couldn't, they couldn't do the show. He and something they did that like 7 times. I mean, it's intentional, but like it's just funny. And like even if he was like, "Hey, you're gonna be in the biggest movie this year. Like you're gonna be in one of the Bourne movies. Like we should get you on and and talk about the movie." Like, nope, we have Matt Damon on. Oh, we didn't have enough time to get to you. They just kept doing that. Then they have one episode where Matt Damon like kidnaps Jimmy and like ties him up to a chair, and then he hosts the Jimmy Kimmel Live.
Oh, okay.
And then like when Jimmy Kimmel, like when I think it was when him and Sarah Silverman broke up, she had the "I'm fucking Matt Damon" song that was like huge for a while. And then Jimmy Kimmel did his version where it's like, "I'm fucking Ben Affleck."
Oh.
And there's something the other day I saw where they had a thing where they were talking about like about Deflategate and how like when things like that happen, people just come forward and say they're guilty of it, and then like so they have all these people on. All these famous celebrities coming on, like doing like stupid Boston accents, like saying how they giving stories about how they went in to play the balls, and then it's like Matt Damon did one and Ben Affleck did one, and then like right at the end, like when Matt Damon's doing his character of it, Jimmy Kimmel like walks on stage. He's like, "This is why no one will ever work with you. You're terrible."
That's funny.
Yeah.
I remember Jimmy Kimmel got in trouble with the local Detroit people for something he did. That was a long time ago, too. It was probably like 10 years ago or more. But it was something about a basketball game. Yeah, because it was like if they win, they're going to burn down Detroit. But could anyone tell or something like that? They pulled the Jimmy Kimmel, all his shows off the local. You couldn't watch him here for a while. That's funny.
Yeah, I don't know. The Daily Show just seems like a weird gig because I don't think anybody new is going to command a whole lot of money, and then that's some hard shoes to fill. So
yeah, Yeah, that's not a gig you'd want. It's like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna be compared to anyone unfairly.
And it's like the Colbert Show goes away, and then just like they kind of replace it with something else. But it's like the Daily Show has to. It's like it's the longest thing other than South Park that Comedy Central has. So they have to continue to have something called the Daily Show that they do.
Yeah.
So I imagine this is probably whoever replaces it. This is going to be the George Lazenby of the Daily Show.
Oh yeah.
It's like this lasts for 1 year, and then they get somebody else, and then it lasts for another 10 years after that.
I just don't know who they're going to find consistently, but I don't know. It depends if they keep the writers and stuff. The lady the one lady who's like the head writer over there she's a really smart, and fun. I mean, she is. I can't think of her name, but I've heard her interviewed before, and it's like, oh, this is like you can hear her voice in the writing once you've heard her interviewed, and so if they can keep that together, yeah, they could probably find someone. It'd be great if it was Patton Oswalt.
Yeah. I just think it's going to be somebody younger.
Yeah.
Because like all the people we want to do it, like they're like in their 40s and 50s.
No, they're still pretty young, but they're not. Not really. Anyway, we watched a little Oliver Stone, History of the United States, about the Cold War, episode 4. And that was I find myself getting a little more back on the tracks with this one. There's some things here that I agree with. I can't say that usually I try to it's like, oh, I didn't know that, I learned that from this. There's nothing really that went on here that I didn't know about. All the stuff I think the Forrestal suicide was a little reinterpreted. I think that was a little what does he say?
Guided?
Creative license, is that what Oliver Stone likes to say?
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, I didn't find it to be egregious. The stuff about Churchill, that's all true. That's a known thing. The stuff about talking about why he got booted out because the British. It's like, hey, we like this state system. We want to keep this because we live in rubble. We don't want to go back to the rich people, just totally running everything. Just the white people, but not the rich people.
This is also the episode where they like constantly compare Truman, right?
Yeah, it's Truman to
George W. Bush.
Yeah, no, well, Truman to Wallace to Bush. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Wallace again rears his head as the Christ figure. Wallace
again's like saying shit that makes sense and then getting kicked in the teeth for it.
Yeah, that's the American politics.
Oh, that makes sense. Fuck you. You're a communist.
Yeah, he was actually called a communist for a while. Yeah. And Truman stood for it, was like, yeah. Wait a minute, wasn't he the vice president? How can he be a communist? Well, yeah, things change. It's like, oh, do they? Okay.
And it's like his vice president or vice presidential candidate actually did get beat up for just being like you guys are communists, like just misassociated with that.
Yeah, got the shit beat out of him at the was it because that's a Progressive Party rally in Illinois, was it? Yeah. I mean, like I said, it was
because like the thing I think that Wallace says is like he's talking about comparing communism to democracy, and he's like, it's like it's going to be this great competition, and as communists move further along, they'll want the freedoms that we so enjoy here, and then as democracy moves along, it'll search out to
how to take care of people in a more well-rounded sense or something.
Yeah, like we'll spend more time during covering social injustices, which is pretty much exactly what fucking happened.
Yeah, it's kind of, but it was crazy to say it at that time. Yeah. Well, the society was, and I as a young child lived in the tail end of the 80s, and that kind of society. But yeah, that's they do one thing I do like is they do capture the paranoia, especially in the 50s and 60s, that was just rampant in our society. With everyone's a communist, all these Hollywood people are communists. They still say that, but back then there was actually like you couldn't work anymore and you could be blacklisted and stuff. And now it's kind of like it's cool to be a Hollywood socialist. It's cool to be that person, but still yet live in a mansion and be driven around in a limousine. It's like, I am a man of the people. Really? Okay. That's an interesting conundrum you got there. But,
I enjoy the throes of capitalism, but I appreciate the plight of the little people.
I make sympathetic noises to the masses. When they rise up and start killing people, I want them to remember me fondly.
This is how I paint the lamb's blood above my door.
Yes, exactly. When the angel of death ascends, I want them to look fondly on, Michael Moore and whoever else is a crazy Hollywood. Well, actually, no, the Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie aren't that kind of that brand. They're another brand. They're their own weird thing, but.
I mean, they actually do shit like adopt a bunch of kids and give away a bunch of fucking money. So.
Yeah, and live in dangerous places like New Orleans.
They actually do shit. They're not making sympathetic noises.
No, they actually. What'd they say on Family Guy? They were talking about Brad and Pitt and Angelina Jolie in therapy about their kids. It's like, yeah, you have all these kids and you've taught them all these different languages, but they don't really speak one. And they're kind of strange looking, and so Angelina Jolie was like, "Oh, I get it. So you want us to give them all faux hawks?" And the doctor's like, "No, we want you to get them into therapy. They need help." Brad Pitt was like, "So do you want them longer on the side?" It's that classic Family Guy. It's like nonsense. But they, I do like in this episode though about I don't know how we got on Brad Pitt. Oh yeah, Hollywood liberals. But yeah, in this they did roll the Korean War into it, which that there were so many missed steps there that led to the later Cold War. It's like because the Russians misinterpreted things, we misinterpreted things. In this episode, I think they did try to achieve a certain balance where it's not like, oh, America was this great satanic force, and the innocent Russians were, and the stalwart Bolsheviks were just trying to understand this dangerous nuclear menace that was Imperial America. And in this episode, they made it more like, yeah, the Korean War was a misstep on both sides. We fucked it up. They fucked it up, and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And it does show how these wars, these by proxy wars between America and the Soviet Union, how they get out of hand. It kind of gives a detailed analysis, and it talks about the social things going on in American society at the time of that. I appreciated that. It sort of centered itself, at least a little bit for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. A lot of people, some of the hate I read against this is so wild because this gets it from both sides. Liberals and conservatives hate this. It's like, wow. I wouldn't think that was the case, but
in any instance in history, you're gonna paint the liberals as ineffectual, and the conservatives are just fucking crazy.
Yeah, that doesn't. Yeah, you don't win friends that way. Some of the liberal attacks on it are just bizarre. It's like Truman said the N-word. He's a bad man, or. What about the gays? It's like, holy shit, they were one step away from putting them in death camps. Like, what are you talking about? They didn't do anything for those people back then because in that society, they didn't exist. That wasn't a real thing.
We still had separate water fountains.
Yeah, blacks and white people couldn't eat in a restaurant together in large parts of the South and or the North, depending on where you were. But yeah, I've heard very strange liberal attacks.
If two men were holding hands in the 1950s, it's because one of them was mentally ill and the other one was their father.
Yeah. You can only hold hands with the Mongoloids. Or if you were gay, you had that mongoloid shield. It's like, no, he's retarded. He's not. We're not gay. Oh. But yeah, I've heard weird attacks from both sides. At least the right-wing stuff is predictable and consistent. Some of the left-wing stuff is like, what about the transgendered people? It's like, what are you fucking talking about? And you can tell it's written by some 20-year-old.
People still didn't have electricity.
Yeah. The Tennessee Valley Authority was still a going thing, you fucking idiot. They were trying to run sewage in Kentucky at this time.
They're trying to not die of the rickets still.
Yeah. So I do like some of the crazy leftist attacks. And sometimes Oliver Stone himself will answer some of this stuff on his Facebook, and it's almost like, well, why are you feeding the crazies? There's one of two things is going on here. This person is nuts, which is probably what's going on, and or they're trolling you for. But he'll try to answer it sometimes. But anyway, like I said, I consider this one a kind of a snapback to form. The whole thing about Japan, the atomic bomb, soured me, but this brought me back to. Not that I'm all rah-rah about people being incinerated by any means, but let me explain this. But this seemed to be a little more cogent history. Like I could actually see this. Like I could see someone reading a history book and coming up with some of these thoughts and ideas.
Yeah.
And I do like I've never heard it presented quite so clearly that it's like how we almost stumbled into the Cold War and both sides were almost equally at fault. I did find that to be a very. It's like that's one of the most coherent interpretations of the early Cold War I've ever heard. It's like, how did we get to Bay of Pigs / Cuban Missile Crisis from the end of World War II? This does a pretty good job of summarizing that. It's like, oh, okay, this and this and this and this, and it takes a few journeys into kind of crazyville, but it's overall I think it's pretty good. We're now getting into the period of history that I feel like I'm not a genius on, but I'm pretty well read on. So even the subtle nuanced things they try to present, it's like, yep, I remember that. I've heard of that. I remember reading about that. But it does make the world. It's hard to believe though how chaotic the world was at that time compared to now. It's like when you're watching this documentary, it's like, oh, this was just crazy. It's like, yeah, I could see why people were getting ready to get into the point. It's like time to build bunkers in our backyards and stuff to hide from the nuclear bombs because there is so much shit going on. I mean, I guess too, it's because they're covering. Oh, they're covering like where are they going from like into World War II to like the mid 50s. I think
the title is actually in the 45 to 50.
Okay, so yeah, basically, and it seems like a lot of shit happened then.
Yeah.
Very, very quickly. It's like there's a lot.
Power vacuum.
There's a lot of history crammed into a bucket here. Some of the stuff. One of the places I think they went a little afield is some of the stuff about the Marshall Plan. It's just like it's American imperialism. It's American empire. No, well, if it is, it didn't work out very well. Because Europe is not an imperial colony of America, but that's a critique. That's a Noam Chomsky type critique of the Marshall Plan I've heard before. It wasn't something that's like, oh my God, where'd they come up with that? I know exactly where they got that. Because this all, for anyone who's interested in doing further reading, read Howard Zinn's People's History of the United States. There's a lot of parallels in that. This is kind of Oliver Stone's and Dennis Kucinich, or what's his name? The other guy, Steven?
Oh, is it on the book back there? Yeah.
Hold on. Let me look at this fucking thing I have right here. No, it just says Oliver Stone. Damn it. I'm going to have to open it.
Won't he be like a producer? Like
Unboxing. No, he should be like the second guy. Kuzniak is his name. This is like an unboxing. An uninteresting unboxing. Peter Kuzniak. Yeah, so this is like Oliver Stone and Peter Kuzniak reinterpret Howard Zinn's People's History of the United States. So that's what it. And how they've reinterpreted it is they've made it a little more interesting and approachable by presenting it in a document
visual format.
Yeah, well, and Oliver Stone is he is a visual genius in this medium, so he makes it very compelling. You have that background music and some of those old propaganda films mixed in with this compelling narration. And this was the end of freedom in the United States. Wait, where are we going? What happened? Oh, okay, yeah. This they did explore the relationship. I've never heard.
and then they nailed Wallace to the other cross.
And Wallace had to sacrifice his genitals for the good of everyone. I mean, don't get me wrong about that Wallace stuff. I know I talk about it like there's three Jesuses in this series. There's Wallace, Kennedy. And in the end, it's the third Jesus, kind of Carter, Gorbachev. Like it's two Jesuses in one. But there's the three Jesuses of this trilogy, and Wallace is the current Jesus.
Well, yeah, I mean, Wallace is most like I just never heard a guy from that era sound so progressive, say shit that makes sense, and then just I have never ever heard of him in any kind of history whatsoever.
Oh, well, there's a reason. It's because of the shit he was saying. I mean, that's why I don't totally dismiss this stuff as nonsense. I mean, some of it I think is a little overplayed, but yeah, there's a reason you don't know about the Progressive Party of the Midwest and who Wallace and the people before them were. I mean, the anti-slavery movement came out of the Midwest, came out of the Quakers and Kansas, and Kansas not a slaveholding state, but yeah, there's always been that weird kind of that what I call that practical progressivism in the Midwest. It's like, yeah, you should till your fields, but we're not gonna let the J.P. Morgans and all those assholes run the country either. And so yeah, they don't know, the rich people they want you to talk about that, and they don't want you to the changes that Roosevelt brought was way too much socialism for America according to them. The fact that they have to pay any taxes at all is just a crime against humanity. Yeah, there's a reason you've never heard of Wallace. But there's also Wallace was kind of a wacky guy. The real history of Wallace was, he did say a lot of good things. He was kind of like, how would be a modern, it's like imagine Jimmy Carter with the courage of his convictions, and but with an even more liberal bent, to just be like a guy who well, I guess everything's okay, and we're just going to move ahead based on that. That's kind of what Wallace was like, and that's too crazy for almost anyone.
I felt like they were just like they're comparing Truman to Bush, that they're basically comparing Wallace to Gore in a way.
Yeah, I could see that. Gore was another wacky political figure.
It's like, here's a guy's vice president who's not going to take power because of his ideas, and his boss was a
scumbag. Another hillbilly from the South who fucked this country over. Because Missouri, that's kind of counts as the South, so yeah, that's where Truman was from. Yeah, that's the Eastern establishment. They love that stuff. That's Oliver Stone's prejudice coming through as an Eastern, as an elite educated liberal. It's like, yeah, fuck these hillbillies.
And their ideas.
That's the thing about Bill Clinton. He loved his love. He loved people and he wanted to be loved. But I don't remember. Well, it's not part of this episode, so we're not going to talk about it. We got plenty of time to talk about other shit later on. But so this was again this one, it gets back on track with this and really stays on track all the way through. But this there are some things that went on in this one that it sort of it's kind of snaps back into focus for me. And by snap back into focus, I mean it's a little more JFK, a little less Salvador. For the Oliver Stone continuum of like ultimate good, ultimate evil. It's like, no, there was mistakes made on all sides. There was still a little of those excuse things about the Soviets getting the bomb, and it's like, and while Stalin was rough, however, Truman, it's like, Stalin was rough. He's killed 20 million people. That's, how many millions of people did Truman kill exactly? And as a peacetime leader, mind you, we're talking after the end of the Second World War.
No, that was like that was something we were learning in our class the other day. Where they had statistics of the cabinet. Like once Stalin was out, and who replaced Stalin?
Khrushchev.
Yeah, once Khrushchev came in, like the mortality rate of the cabinet skyrocketed because it was like 70% of the people would like die or be killed mysteriously under Stalin, and then after that it was like, if you were not reelected, but even there's only like 1 year where like there was like 45% like what do you call that when they hold office again? Incumbent rate?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like 45% incumbent rate. But after that year, it was like 70 to 80%. So that was like the.
Yeah, that's in American politics you'd call that the changing of the guard. When people went from public sector work to private sector work. But in Soviet Russia, you get fed to a gulag or have a car accident or a heart attack. And the heart attack usually comes from being hit with a lead pipe over and over and over again. But yeah. Well, what is it? Was it like all the premiers of the Soviet Union, or I think it's almost all their family members live here now. Like, it's the weird thing is Khrushchev's son, I think he sells insurance in San Francisco. It's something where he looks exactly like him.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm John Khrushchev, and I'm here to sell you your home. I mean, I don't know what he sounds like, but it's they all fled to a lot of them have fled to America. It's like that tells you something about the system, or it just tells you about the what do I call it? The leadership and governance deficit in Russia. Like, they should just subcontract that to somebody else. It's like, your governance, why don't you let us and the British or some combination thereof handle it? You guys keep making rockets and cool shit, but we're going to handle the governance part of it because you guys not doing a good job. But yeah, they always had that though. Always, that's their history. Who is the good czar? Like, it's like, who is the one that's like, this guy did great things? There was one they call Peter the Great. That's because he built a lot of shit. Now, over the bones of peasants, and so they don't really exactly include those figures.
Well, that was like another thing where they were talking about Ivan the Terrible, and it's like the context to us that sounds like, oh, he must have been like he must have been a horrible person, but like
he was terrible to his enemies.
Yeah, it was like in the context of Russia, he was like, he was a great person. He expanded territory. He like made it better for Russia.
Well, that was just so funny about that Borat stuff when he was talking about. Remember, I don't know if you've ever seen some of the other episodes where he came to America and he's like, I would like to help you campaign, and he was talking about Premier Bush. He is a strong man. He will crush his enemies, and if you do not vote for him, he will take power. So you must swear on the eyes of your children that you will vote for him, or something bad will happen. That's their fucking concept of leadership. I mean, it's a little ridiculous and overstated, but it's not that far off from the truth. It's like that's why Vladimir Putin's riding around on a horse with no shirt on and a rifle across his shoulder. If Obama did that, they'd think it was ridiculous. Putin does it, and it's like people are like, yeah, he's a strong man, I'm voting for him. I mean, half the population laughs, but the other half is like, oh yeah.
The half that votes is like, yes.
Yeah. The people whose votes actually get counted, yeah, they're for it.
Oh yeah, I forgot that's a whole facade.
yeah, that whole voting thing. I mean, that's kind of a facade here, let alone in places like that where they don't even have a tradition of transparency. Or transparency is something you try to make plastic, not something you try to make your government. But yeah, that's a good Oh, how would you say it? It's just it's an interesting lesson, and it's like what works and what doesn't. And it's also an interesting thing in like what makes America unique. Like we didn't come through a system of monarchy and totalitarianism, or just started off with a lot of ideals, a lot of hope, and it's like all men are created equal, well, except slaves and women and Indians. But well, you got to start somewhere. But it's interesting how it's because in this series there is a lot of
well, I mean, the
thinly
Constitution
veiled.
the Constitution leaves room for like we could be wrong, fix it.
Yeah. Don't. This isn't like.
But
No one ever said that God wrote this on tablets, and it's like we got to follow these rules and no other. Some people interpret it a little differently, but yeah, But it's just back to the documentary. I feel there is some pretty thinly veiled anti-Americanism in here, and it's like you gotta. Again, that's why when this whole series discussion started months ago when we started watching this, it's like. Don't take this as everything. Read a little something first. Like 'cause I would never show Grayson this if he had not read any other books. I mean, he doesn't watch this, of course, and he's not interested, and I'm not going to let him see it until later after he's read some things and experienced some things. Because you will really be like, America is the source of all fucking evil in the world. It's like, oh, no, son, understand. America, on the continuum of evil in the world, in the spectrum, we're really very good. It's just sometimes we have to do bad things, and greedy fucking people run the country. However, nobody's being sent off to camps. Because I had to explain that to Grayson once about, like, there was something on the news about, of course, the labor talks are coming up this contract year, and people were talking a lot of shit about the union, and he was like, it's like he was asking me about being in the union stuff, and I said, yeah, I vote along union lines. I get to vote in one of those contracts they're talking about, and I deal every day with people, and I operate within a framework of rules that we all agree on, and I said, but there's no danger in me being in that union in this country. It's like it might not be popular. I said the people on TV might not like it, but I cannot be arrested randomly driving home. It's like, oh, you have a union card? You got a UAW membership card? You're going to jail. I said in some countries it was dangerous. In America, in the 20s and 30s, it was dangerous to have a union card. I said that's how much things have changed in the world. I said that's the advantage of living in a free society. It's like we don't have to agree with each other. We can spew hate and venom all the time. I mean, how many times do I talk about on my podcast about killing the rich? It doesn't mean it's going to happen, but it's like we have the freedom to say it and not like each other. But it doesn't actually, because we have a functioning democracy, it doesn't come down to like just brawls and running gun battles in the streets and shit you really don't want, even though it might be viscerally satisfying for that evening. However, when you got to rebuild from the rubble that comes after that, it's going to fucking suck. And what comes out of that is definitely not going to be as good as what you had going in. So it's better to talk to each other. But yeah, I was explaining to him just about that, and I said there's so many reasons why you're so lucky to be in this country, because we can have these conversations. We don't have to look around in public and be like, well, let me explain this. We can basically say anything we want. There's no secret police here that care. That's like, oh, you're voting for Democrats? Well, you're coming with us because you're fucked up in the head or something. I mean, there's people in this society that would want that, but they're never going to get it as long as everyone else pays attention somewhat. But then I said, but then there is the South, and that's a different animal. Got to be careful down there. Cross that Mason-Dixon line, things get weird. But not always. They have good food. Biscuits and gravy, it's the best. Maybe not the best for me, but it's the best tasting thing. Well, did we have anything else for this week? Kind of run out of steam on the documentary.
Watch John Wick.
So tell me about that. The only thing I've heard, I've done a little research because you told me, you texted me earlier, and of course I couldn't find it anywhere to watch for free. God forbid I pay for anything. So I just read some reviews, and the kind of consensus I get is really not as horrible as I expected it to be. Does that jive with what your experience?
Oh yeah, it's a good movie. I mean, it's the way like the basis of the movie is like pretty like ridiculous.
Okay.
Like this guy, his wife dies of cancer or something, and then she gets him a dog. Like she knows she's gonna die, so she has this dog sent to him after she dies, and then this shitty.
That sounds
like,
unnecessarily grim and sad, but okay.
yeah, and this like Russian shithead kid who's like the son of some Russian gangster like wants his car and decides to, because he has like a 69 Mustang Boss or something 429 or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know the numbers. And so like they go and steal his car, beat the shit out of him, and kill the dog. And then it happens to be that this guy was like the most dangerous assassin to ever exist.
This is the guy you want to fuck with.
And like he got out of the whole game, and so that he could just be with his wife. And like like, and one of the things is like they say like because like there's like a funny thing was John Leguizamo like the kid comes in with the car with John Wick's car, and he's like, I want new license plates and everything like that, and VIN number. And he's like, where'd you get that car? He's like, what does it matter? And then like he punches him. He's like, did you steal that car from John Wick? And then like then you see John Leguizamo. He's like regretful. He's like taking like a shot of whiskey or something. And then he calls like the Russian guy, or he gets a call from the Russian gangster guy. And he's like, did you hit my son? He's like, yes, I did. He's like, why? He's like, because he stole John Wick's car and killed his dog. And then the Russian guy goes, oh, and hangs up. And then and there's like this pause, like, is he gonna kill John Leguizamo? And then he goes like pause. There's like this pause, and he tells a story to some other guy about like how dangerous John Wick is, and like he's really fucking afraid right now, because like when John Wick said he wanted out, this guy gave him some impossible task. Like basically, you have to kill this entire family of gangsters in order to get out. And so he does that, and so he gets like a boatload of money, and then he leaves. And then so now he's getting back. And so it's just really a lot of like unexpected stuff. Like you think it's kind of like, oh, this is a dumb action movie, and you kind of expect things to play out a certain way, and they kind of like play with your expectations. So that was like really nice. I wasn't really expecting that, because this is like a movie directed by stuntmen.
Okay.
Yeah, like the main director, he was actually Keanu Reeves' stunt double in like the Matrix movies.
Oh, is that the guy you gave a Harley to?
Probably.
Yeah. Okay.
But like, remember like all those cool gun battles in Collateral?
Yeah.
And they lasted like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Well, imagine like the last hour of a movie is nothing but that.
Just the LA shootout over and over and over.
Well, no, it's like all that cool like all that like close quarters combat stuff where it's like two to the chest, one in the head.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of that, but like with more like martial arts stuff. He's basically punching people in the head with guns.
Oh, gun kata. Okay.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
It's like amazing. It's almost funny how much he goes back to like get a headshot, where it's like he's like shooting two dudes at like to the chest, one in the head, like he shoots another guy in the head, and he's like ends up like punching another guy, throwing him around, and then like shoots another guy, and then comes back around. It's like, oh, I didn't shoot you in the head. I'm gonna shoot you in the head.
Yeah, better get that headshot in.
A lot of good bit parts from Ian McShane's in there. They have a couple of guys from The Wire in there.
Ian McShane's in it? Oh, he's always watchable.
Yeah. I mean, he's only like one scene, but he's like a really, it's kind of a prominent character. There's like this mythos to this thing where there's like this hotel where like all these assassins stay at, but like nobody can like, nobody's allowed I think it's called the Continental, and nobody's allowed to like assassinate people on the Continental, and then so that comes into play a little bit. And Willem Dafoe's in it. So yeah, it's just it's unexpected. A lot of cool action. It wasn't as dopey as I expected. As dire as the premise of the movie is, like it's a lot better than I expected.
Oh, well, good. Yes, John Wick's Mustang Mach 1, there would have been only 4,000 of them made. It had a stated value of over $500,000. If that's the one in the movie.
Probably.
It's funny, though. The car, 355 horsepower, 420 foot-pounds of torque. And it was like, that was like a super powerful car back then. Nowadays, fucking Super Snake Cobra rolling right off the assembly line for 60 grand, which is not on, it's out of sight for some people, but if you saved, you could get one. 700 horsepower, 650 foot-pounds of torque, fiber carbon chassis. You could run circles around that car, but yeah, that's funny. But anyway, so worth watching, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, when
Yeah,
it comes up,
worth a rent or what? I rented it on Blu-ray from Redbox.
well, when it comes up on Amazon Prime, I'll definitely check it out. Speaking of Amazon Prime, I've been doing some Prime viewing recently. I haven't been laid off as much as I was anticipated. They flipped the coin and decided we should work, so I haven't been watching crazy amounts of like binge watching entire shows. But
I have not completed Man in the High Castle. Have you watched it yet?
yes, I have.
Oh, okay.
Twice.
Oh, okay. Well, it must have been either you were going back to like, well, I guess I'll get your opinion. What do you think of it?
I enjoyed it. I mean, I know what they're trying to do, and I appreciate it because they have to make this into something that's not just completely esoteric and weird. I think they're going to have that weird esoteric in there.
Yeah.
Because this is all about alternate universes and things like that, and just kind of in a dopey Philip K. Dick acid-drenched way that he likes to do things. But I also think they're trying to make a story that's compelling that will pull people in.
Yeah.
And I like what they're doing with it. It's hard. That's a hard book to read and come up with this show.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's perfect, but I don't think it's nearly dark and dire enough. But it does have those elements it throws in, like when the cop is helping him change the tire. And I don't know if you've seen this part, but there's this. It looks like snowflakes, and guy's like, "What's going on?" He's like, "Oh, they're burning the cripples and retards." And it's just throwing this ash into the air like the Auschwitz, the famous scene in Schindler's List, where it's like, is it snowing? It's like, no, those are people being burned alive. So they do have that. So it shows, because it's kind of like America in the 50s, that whole, but then there's this Nazi film laid over it, and the Japanese haven't really played a big part yet. They're there and they're doing stuff, but that comes in later. But it's very close to, some parts of it are close to the book. Somebody loved the book, but they're like, we got to write a real story here. So I think it's going to be good. I gave it 5 stars in my Amazon review, because I guess that really matters when they're doing the pilot shit.
Yeah.
But I also gave the after 5 stars, and nobody's heard about that. But there's a weird development time with Amazon, because I was going to say that the one of the shows I really liked, they've all come out at once. The Bosch, because I was a big fan of that when they had the how would you say it, the pilot.
Yeah.
This is the one with what's that? I really like the actor. I should have had this pulled up. Actually, I tried to, but it crashed on me. Just lost my. Are you still there?
I'm here.
Okay, good. I've just lost my internet, or my thing. Anyway, it's got that Titus guy in it, who I really like.
Titus Welliver?
Yeah, I really like that. That guy just is a cool-looking guy. I like him as an actor.
Yeah.
He's been in a lot of TV cop shows. He has that cop look to him.
Oh, he's like a character actor. You see him in like 1,000 different roles where he just plays a different asshole in every role.
Yeah, and he plays the Bosch asshole from the Michael Connelly novels, and those are really watchable. I've watched 3 of them so far. I hope the Man in the High Castle gets picked up like this does. So.
It seems the most high profile out of the other pilot. I don't even remember what the other pilots that they came out with, but that seemed like the most high profile one. Yeah,
the one they launched. Let me get on there. There, it's back. There's my Prime. You know, Prime's been around for 10 years. Can you believe that?
Fuck.
Yeah, 2006.
Oh,
I don't remember it back then. I didn't jump into Prime until 2009, so. And that's back
Yeah.
when it was $60. It's like 100. But
yeah, that's probably like 2007 when I got mine. Maybe? No. I don't know. Somewhere at that point I was buying enough stuff where I was like, I would like free things.
yeah, that's the thing. I've actually had this discussion with people at work because people are like, you get Netflix, you should watch this doc. I said, no, my money goes to Prime. I spend money on Prime. Prime fucking sucks, man. They don't get all the shit Netflix does. It's like, yeah, but I get 1 to 2 days shipping on everything I order through Amazon too, as well as a bunch of older free movies and some new stuff. You get everything HBO, which is worth a fortune.
Yeah.
You can watch everything HBO is on Prime, and that HBO stuff's top shelf. But yeah, some people are like, that's not as good as Netflix. I said, look, when you need beard oil, patchouli beard oil in 24 hours, you'll be glad you have Amazon Prime. Or whatever. I buy a lot of stuff on Amazon, and I also read a lot of free books on Amazon, so that's why I have Prime.
I tried to get you Netflix for Christmas, but they wouldn't let me.
Yeah, well, they don't want it tied. They want it tied to my account, not yours.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, the biggest Prime originals. I think Bosch is going to be the biggest. Transparent. That got picked up right away, which is a weirdly. I watched a couple of those actually. I didn't think I'd like them, but I like the actor.
Yeah.
Because it's so weird. Remember that movie? Because Jeffrey Tambor is really cool in this. But remember that movie that the British guy did about being a transsexual, but he lived in Iowa and he worked at the John Deere plant. I can't think of the actor's name. But anyway, it's sort of like that. It's like, oh, this guy's kind of normal, but his family's sort of fucked up, and you find out they're more fucked up over time. But again, I'm not as excited about that as I am about Bosch. Bosch is really good, and those are the only two big Amazon originals I know of. Now, somebody said they might be picking up Justified as a Prime series after it goes out of production on where's it at, FX? I don't know. Heard something about that. But anyway, I think we're having some slack time here with Google Plus. I don't know why. Conlon hasn't said anything in a while, and as I go back to the main screen, his face is frozen. So either he's having an epileptic seizure, or I'm not going to get any more Conlon. Wonder if they lost power again. This will be something to speculate about. We'll just sit here and think about this while I wait for it to come back, because I don't like doing that whole let's record something separately 2 weeks later, because it doesn't really capture the emotion of the moment. Like this feeling I have right now, this weight that's on me of like, did he lose power? Did a nuclear bomb go off? Was there a terrorist attack? Why isn't Conlon responding to me? It creates a small amount of anxiety, but it's like a lot of those things, that small nugget of anxiety, it can build, and it can become something, I don't know, something that just eats you up inside. Oh, see, now I'm getting the face. I don't even have, I just get the Google man, just the little disembodied head, the circle over the body, kind of a symbol, kind of a Germanic looking Google symbol. So maybe it's supposed to be universal. I don't know. But it's like, what does that tell me? What does that tell me that's happened here? I don't know. Are you still seeing me on YouTube? Am I here? Faithful listeners? Someone, 1 minute we're talking about Bosch and Transparent, and the next thing I know, it's like, everyone, my whole family in Iowa could have winked out of existence. I don't know what this means. Makes you wonder, kind of I don't know. Do you question your mortality at times like this when Google doesn't work anymore? It's like, how will I be remembered? What will I Well, I do. Now, see, now I'm kind of stumbling around here a little bit because I don't have any. Let me want to bounce this back and forth. I don't know how Rush Limbaugh did this in the early days in Florida when it was just him for like 3 hours. No callers, no phoners. It was like AM radio. And he would talk about politics literally for three or 3.5 hours to himself, just like what I'm doing right now, just bouncing it off the room. I don't know how Dan Carlin does it on Hardcore History or Common Sense. He just talks to his producer. I forget his name, but he's like, does he exist? Does he not exist? Because he never responds. Just Dan talking about his producer. It was usually a pitch for money or something. It's like, hey, I'm actually putting real research into these episodes. Could you send me $1, you cheap fucks? It's not like the episodes that I do where I just like, I'm just going to read shit off Wikipedia and amaze myself and everyone else at how smart I am. But Dan Carlin will actually do it. I'm going to bring the lights up in here a little bit to show. We're in a different mode now. We're in a no Conlon mode. It's just us, just shooting the shit. And of course, I'm waiting. Let me go to my. It says I'm in a video call right now, and it still says we're live. So I'm waiting to see if Conlon's going to call me back. I'm going to type here. See if he's got me. He knows who I am. Oh, yes. My Skype friend, Kitty32433. I had to decline her request for friendship. I didn't know if it was a legitimate request. Sometimes with internet strangers named Kitty, you've got to be careful. You don't know who your friends are in this world of internet whores. I don't say whore in a negative way. It's like we're all kind of internet horrors nowadays. But we all have things we got to do. Well, okay. I don't know what's going on here. It's 4 o'clock in the morning though, so it's probably time to say adieu. I'm going to play the outro music for everyone on YouTube. Thanks for watching. I don't know if this is even going out anymore or how to turn it off, but this week for the American Greed Factory podcast, this is Nathan, and I'm sure, as Conlon would say, goodbye, America.
The cops are on the rise, and teenagers are saying that parents had better listen before it's too late.